Hope that's not coyotes. What the hell is that? Run, 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 run.
There's somebody walking down the bottom of the valley there.
Venturing into the woods alone at night can be terrifying. But what happens when you encounter someone or something you'd rather never meet? Tonight, we're diving into the 6 most disturbing camping encounters ever recorded. These clips will make you think twice about ever stepping into the woods alone again. Let's delve straight into this first disturbing encounter. Alex and Emma, a British couple with a passion for travel, have dedicated their lives to exploring the world together. Through their videos, they share both the highs and lows of their adventures, hoping to spread positivity and inspire others to chase their dreams. However, while their content is usually lighthearted and uplifting, if this adventure had gone as planned, it wouldn't have ended up as part of a Creepy Vids feature. Excited to begin a new chapter of their journey, Alex and Emma had recently purchased their very first camper van. And after weeks of mechanical repairs at a local garage, they were finally ready to hit the road and embark on their next adventure. Everything was falling into place, and their anticipation grew with each passing day. But just as they were preparing to set off, their plans took a sudden and terrifying turn. It was May 28th, 2022. The couple was out running errands, organizing stuff, and making a quick stop at the post office to return a few packages. The day seemed completely ordinary, until it wasn't. As they drove back home, Alex suddenly noticed something alarming. Smoke was creeping up near his feet. His initial confusion quickly turned to panic as the realization hit. Something was seriously wrong. Without hesitation, the couple pulled the camper van over to the side of the road. But the moment Alex opened the door, his worst fear was confirmed. Flames were already flickering beneath the vehicle, rapidly growing stronger. Acting on instinct, Alex leapt out of the van, desperate to assess the situation. Out of nowhere, a man came running toward them, a fire extinguisher in hand. He had already spotted the fire and knew there was no time to waste. But amidst the chaos, Emma was still inside, unaware of just how dire the situation had become.
At this point, I look back and the van is in flames, but Emma is still in the van. I don't think you realised how serious the whole situation was at that point.
So at this point, I knew there was smoke, and I guess I just assumed it was coming from the engine and kind of making its way into the cab.
Yeah, so I was shouting at Emma to get out of the van instantly. That image of the van being on fire and Emma inside will probably stay in my mind for a very long time. It's something that keeps getting replayed. But this is when, so I had my phone on me, so started to record. So this is maybe 10 seconds after Emma got out of the van.
What have we got in there?
The man fought desperately to extinguish the flames, doing everything he could in an attempt to contain the fire. He had likely been at it far longer than he should have, putting himself in serious danger as the blaze grew more intense by the second. But despite his efforts, the fire was relentless. It spread rapidly, swallowing more of the vehicle with each passing moment. Eventually, it became clear there was nothing more he could do. In one swift motion, he turned and ran, realizing that staying any longer would put his own life at risk. That was the moment when reality fully sank in for Alex and Emma. The fire was out of control, and they could no longer afford to stand so close. They had to move. Without hesitation, they turned and ran, putting as much distance as possible between themselves and the burning camper van, fearing the worst. If the fire reached the fuel tank, an explosion was inevitable.
Run!
Oh my god!
What do we do?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
do we do? What do we do?
I don't know.
Should we run down that way? Oh my god.
I think we're going to climb over here.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh god. I don't know what's in this building, so I just want to go.
Run, 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 run.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, that's an old truck.
Oh my god. Oh. Are we safe here?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on if it has a propane tank or not.
Once we were far enough away, all we could do is just watch it burn. Our tiny home on wheels was gone.
And we're safe. We're safe.
Has anybody called 911?
No, we just ran out. Someone came with a fire extinguisher, and then
So this just happened?
just happened. We were driving it
Okay,
2 minutes ago.
Call 911.
Yeah, please, thank you. Oh god.
Completely shaken by the experience, the harsh reality set in. What was meant to be their home for the coming months was now engulfed in flames. All they could do was stand there, helpless, watching as their long-awaited camper van was reduced to nothing but smoke and ashes. The weight of the moment was overwhelming, a dream slipping away right before their eyes. Full of devastation, all they could do was wait for the fire department, who fortunately arrived quickly. But by then, the damage had already been done. Their camper van, their ticket to adventure, was gone.
This absolute angel of a woman was checking to make sure we were okay. She invited us into her car to sit in the air conditioning and sort of compose ourselves and calm down.
I don't know what I would do if I was in this situation.
No, I don't know what I'm doing in this situation.
We felt very exposed outside. It was just so intense. Taking a moment to sit inside a car definitely helped calm us down a bit. Once we'd calmed down a little bit, we then had to go and speak to the police and give all our details. And again, like everyone else that we met in this frenzy, they were so nice and so reassuring.
And after what felt like an eternity, the fire department had actually put out the flames, they put out the fire, and we could go and actually see the full scale of the damage that was done.
Honestly, got very overwhelmed. Like, I didn't even notice. It was only when you shouted about the smoke.
And we're safe. Like, we're literally safe.
Scary.
I know.
This experience was deeply shocking for the couple, but there was one small silver lining. They hadn't yet moved their belongings into the van. At the time of the fire, it was still an empty home, waiting to be filled with everything they needed for their journey. In fact, they had planned to move in the very next day, bringing along their passports, laptops, and all their essentials. Realizing how close they had come to losing not just their camper van, but everything they owned, made the situation even more surreal. Despite the devastating loss of their camper van, Alex and Emma chose to focus on what truly mattered. They were safe, and their most valuable belongings had been spared. Though the experience was a heartbreaking setback, it also served as a powerful reminder of how quickly things can change. Rather than letting this disaster crush their adventurous spirit, the couple decided to see it as just another chapter in their journey, one they would one day look back on as a test of resilience. Though this wasn't the adventure they had planned, it was one that reinforced their love for travel, their appreciation for life, and their belief that even in the face of loss, new beginnings are always possible. Now let's take a look at the next chilling camping encounter clip that left viewers equally baffled. Quick interruption. If you're enjoying this video, why not hit that subscribe button? We're on a mission to hit 150,000 subscribers, and when we do, 3 lucky fans will win a free item of their choice from our merch store. Right now, 73.6% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, and your support helps us make even more awesome videos. So, don't miss out. Subscribe, and let's get back to the video. Meet Jason, an avid outdoorsman with a passion for exploration and adventure. He loves capturing his experiences on camera, sharing them with his audience on his YouTube channel, Exploring Intuition. Although he hasn't posted in over 2 years, the collection of daring journeys and fascinating locations he's documented has continued to attract viewers. But in this particular clip, what started as just another thrilling adventure quickly turned into something far more unsettling. It's April 19th, 2020. Jason has arrived at Shawnee State Forest, where has planned to spend the night completely alone, camping deep in the wilderness. Excitement rushes through him as he sets off on a hike toward a secluded spot he knows, eager to set up camp before darkness falls. The towering trees sway gently in the wind, the rustling leaves and distant bird calls creating a peaceful, almost hypnotic atmosphere. But as he finally reaches his chosen campsite, something shifts. Jason hesitates for a moment, scanning the surroundings as an uneasy sensation creeps over him.
Hey guys, so I was just getting set up here and I heard some gunshots off in the distance and some people. It's kind of far off, but you know, the people I can handle. This is a public area after all. Gunshots not so much, you know. I'm hoping those just stay where they're at, but I'm gonna continue setting up camp and have a quiet evening hopefully. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do, guys, is run a ridge line for my tarp. I got a little toggle on the end of this, guys. I'm not the best at knots by a long shot, but I like to use toggles. So after a few adjustments, this is what I ended up with. I had to lower my ridge line a little bit so that my tarp hung out a little closer to my hammock. And here in the hammock, I've got the sleeping bag put in already. And underneath the sleeping bag is this sleeping mat. And that should well keep me pretty well insulated through the night. Like I said, it's only going to get down to about 42, so I should be pretty good to go.
With everything set up and the eerie silence of the woods no longer pressing on his mind, Jason finally starts to relax. The uneasy feeling from earlier has faded. A night of peace and solitude in nature is exactly what he was hoping for. And now, with his camp ready, he's eager to settle in and enjoy it. As the last traces of daylight slip behind the trees, Jason turns his attention to gathering firewood. The cool evening air is creeping in, and a fire will not only keep him warm, but also provide a much-needed source of light in the deepening darkness. But just as he becomes fully immersed in his small survival task, enjoying the simplicity of collecting firewood and preparing for the night ahead, something suddenly catches his attention. The darkness around him suddenly feels heavier, the once peaceful forest now carrying an eerie weight again.
You hear that? It's coon dog, I think. That noise I've been hearing, I think it's people out doing some coon hunting. I think, even though it's kind of early in the day to be doing some coon hunting, I think normally you do that at night, but I'm not an expert. That's what it sounds like to me. Hopefully they don't come back this way, but if they do, I guess they do. We'll have to deal with it. They won't find no coons around here because I've been scaring them away. I'm not sure that's coon dogs now that I hear it. Hope that's not coyotes. Well, I am armed just in case, so I guess we'll see what happens. Part of the fun of being out in the wilderness by yourself.
At first, the distant howls didn't seem alarming. Jason had heard dogs barking before during his outdoor trips, and he assumed it was the same this time. But then, the sounds gradually shifted. The barks stretched into eerie, drawn-out howls, layering over one another in an unsettling harmony. A pack. Jason froze for a moment, his ears straining to pick up on the direction of the sounds. The howls carried through the vast forest, echoing between the trees. These weren't just dogs. They had the distinct, haunting quality of coyotes, or something similar, somewhere deeper in the woods. A cold shiver ran down his spine. He wasn't exactly defenseless. He was armed, a necessary precaution for solo camping trips. But the last thing he wanted was to be put in a situation where he had to use his weapon. This trip was supposed to be a peaceful getaway, not a night spent on edge. Taking a deep breath, Jason forces himself to brush it off. He knew coyotes typically kept their distance, rarely posing a direct threat unless provoked or desperate. So, he convinces himself that they are far enough away, probably hunting or communicating amongst themselves, with no real interest in him. Pushing aside the discomfort creeping up his spine, he turned his attention back to his camp. The fire crackled warmly, casting flickering shadows on the surrounding trees, and the act of preparing dinner gave him something to focus on. For a while, the tension faded. The forest, once filled with uncertainty, seemed to settle again. But just as he began to relax, the calm was shattered again as the howls returned. This time, even closer.
Those sound more like wild dogs to me. I don't know what they're going on about. They sound like they're just on the other end of the holler, so I hope they stay there. One dog's not too bad to deal with, but 8 or 9, that could be a problem. So tonight on the menu is going to be some North Atlantic cod. Hopefully it won't attract those hounds in, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I don't have enough to go around. They're just going to have to go without for tonight. Well, it sounds like those dogs are getting closer. I might have some trouble tonight. I may have to stop cooking. Who would have thought of all the things you're going to have to deal with in the woods? It's going to be wild dogs.
Jason does everything he can to stay calm, forcing himself to focus on the warmth of the fire and the comforting task of preparing his food. But no matter how much he tries to ignore it, the eerie howling continues, and it's getting closer. Jason swallows down the unease rising in his chest. He tells himself not to overthink it, but deep down, a sinking feeling settles in. Something about this doesn't sit right, but leaving now isn't an option. Hiking back through the dark with only his flashlight to cut through the pitch-black forest would put him in a far worse situation. Out there, vulnerable and unable to see what was stalking him, would be a bigger risk than staying put.
Well, the more I listen, the more I think that those are hunting dogs and somebody's out training them. Because I can hear the guy down there now hollering for him to come back or something like that. For a minute he was doing a whoop, and it freaked me out because I don't know if you guys watch any other videos on the YouTube, but when you're in the middle of the woods and you hear a whoop, that's normally time to get out of the woods. But so far so good. What I'm doing right now is when I was down doing dishes, is I left my knife in the water, so I'm here to retrieve that. There it is.
The longer Jason listens, the more he starts to doubt what he's actually hearing, and a cold unease settles over him. But whatever it is, Jason feels unsafe and knows he has to prepare for the worst. He quickly comes up with a plan. To keep any potential predators away, he needs to remove the biggest temptation: his food. His heartbeat pounds in his ears, as he steps away from his camp, searching for the right tree. The further from his camp, the better.
All right, so right now I'm looking for a place to hang my food bag for the night. It's hard to find any trees with branches close enough to the ground, but I need to find some place kind of far away from camp because not only are these hounds active in the area, but it's also time for bears to start waking up, and we do have bears in this area now. We didn't used to have them for the longest time, but they're starting to make a comeback. And I think this is gonna do it. Yep, that'll do it right up there. Okay guys, so whenever you're hanging your food, as a general rule, I would say you always want to go at least 10 feet off the ground, off the standing range for maybe a bear or something like that. And when you hang it off the branch, you don't want to put too much, or you don't want to hang it too close to the branch itself so raccoons can reach down and get into it. You know, about a foot and a half from the branch and kind of far away from the tree itself. Usually a good way to go. That should be pretty good for the night.
With everything prepared for the night and the fire slowly burning out, Jason decides to crawl into his hammock, still feeling uneasy by the fact that these coyotes or maybe dogs could still be somewhere nearby. Hoping for the best, he drifts off to sleep eventually. Through the night, Jason did wake up to barking and howling, but this time it luckily sounded much further away than before. The steady sound of rain tapping against the leaves and in his shelter made it quite hard to get a good night's rest. But despite the discomfort, he managed to get some sleep in between. Eventually, the morning sun began to rise, casting a warm golden glow over the damp forest. A sense of relief washed over Jason as the tension of the night before slowly faded away. He packed up his gear, still pondering what he had really heard last night. Although he was glad nothing had happened, the eerie feeling of being watched stuck with him as he made his way out of the forest. Jason left the woods behind, relieved, but still filled with questions. Were they just wild animals? Or was there something else lurking in the darkness? He may never know the answer, but one thing was for sure. This was a camping trip he wouldn't soon forget. Some mysteries are better left unsolved, and with that being said, get ready for what's coming next. This clip comes from the YouTube channel Under the Weather, where James shares his biggest passion, going on adventures. Whether it's exploring mysterious locations, hiking deep into the wilderness, or testing his survival skills through wild camping, he is always seeking his next challenge. In this video, James embarks on a solo journey to find the Machar Stones, a historical landmark hidden deep in the wilderness of Stirlingshire, Scotland. Estimated to be over 5,000 years old, these ancient stones have stood the test of time, surrounded by myths and mystery. His plan is to navigate through the dense woods, reach this peculiar location, and set up camp for a peaceful night under the stars. A much-needed escape into nature. But what was meant to be a calm and scenic retreat took a turn for the unsettling. It's March 1st, 2024. James is eager to begin his expedition, fully prepared for a night of solitude in nature. Though he has attempted to find this site several times before, only to lose his way every single time. He sets off once again, determined to finally reach his destination. With a backpack full of supplies and a hopeful mindset, he steps into the wilderness, unaware of what truly awaits him deep within these woods.
Okay, here's our first fork in the road, across the river, then it's right and right again. So this is the first right, let's go. With the big bad bone, I'm Abraham DeLacy. Motherfucker. Oh, we made that. Right. Where the hell is this place?
After a long and exhausting hike, wandering off course only to find his way back again, James finally reaches the Machar Stones, the very place he had been searching for. A wave of relief washes over him as he realizes he made it just in time, with daylight still on his side. Wasting no time, he gets to work setting up his camp, eager to create a comfortable base where he can settle in for the night.
Where do I put it in there? Is that like a... Look at that. What is this? A perfect space for a tent, isn't it? Yeah, I think I'm just going to set up right here with the fire here as well. Yeah, sounds like a plan. Oh, oh, and here we have it. Ta-da! Got the tent up. Worryingly, there's a helicopter flying overhead, which don't know if you can hear it, but it's been very close. It's like it's looking for someone, if you know what I mean, or search and rescue. Hope they don't come looking for me. Anyway, that's us. I'll show you from this angle. Oh, look at that. This is like a, that's like a little proper campsite. 5,000 euro stones. Here we go.
Now that everything has been set up and the fire is going, the forest slowly gets swallowed by the darkness of the night. And as the temperature drops, hunger starts to set in, so James decides to prepare his dinner. He gathers his cooking gear, enjoying the crackling of the fire as he cooks, feeling a deep sense of peace in the solitude of nature. Little does he know, the night ahead will be anything but peaceful.
Well, it's definitely got colder now, you can feel it. It's very funny though, in this area it's very still. There's wind everywhere else, but around those stones, nothing. Not the cleanest, right? Been on the fire, eh? What about that? Can you hear the helicopter? It's been flying over quite a bit, and I just hope that they aren't looking for someone and I've got a fire going and I can get rescued, if you know what I mean, because I don't need rescued yet. There it is. You see him flying over ahead. Water crisis. Should have brought more water. There is water around about, obviously, but I don't know. It's quite treacherous. You saw what the ground is like. So I think I'm going to have the chicken wings without the mashed potato. What the hell is that? Hello?
This sudden, unfamiliar sound startles James, sending a chill down his spine. It's unlike anything he has ever heard before, and for a brief moment, he feels completely exposed in the vast, dark wilderness. His instincts scream at him to leave this forest, but he knows that turning back now isn't an option. Hiking through the dense woods in complete darkness would be far more dangerous. Taking a deep breath, James forces himself to stay calm, convincing himself that it was probably just a harmless animal moving through the underbrush. A little uneasy, he shifts his focus back to his food, hoping that keeping his hands busy will distract him from the creeping sense of unease settling over him.
I think I'm going to eat these in the tent because it's a bit chilly now. I didn't like that noise, and then we'll take it from there. Right, got the down jacket on, got a bit cozier, and check out these in the tent. Well, that was the least burnt one, so can't complain. A bit of chili and garlic seasoning, which will hopefully save the day. Certainly flame grilled. Easy for me to say. Complete silence again. I don't know what that was earlier. It sounded like somebody walking around. I even heard a voice, but no one there. We'll go and have a proper look at the standing stones in the dark in a wee minute. After dinner. See if we can feel the energy. Yeah, no, there's definitely something eerie about this place. And it doesn't really help with the smoke from the fire, looking like some fog from a horror film. And of course, now it's at night time. Definitely not the place to be if you're scared of the dark. Hello? Silence. Well, those stones are quite something. I mean, they don't look like much, but it's kind of eerie that there's the big clearing around there, and then there's no trees and no sound really in the middle part. But apart from hearing random voices, which I did hear, and on this occasion I don't have my knife, my trusty knife. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? So I just prefer I cut short my little thing there because the camera died for no reason as well, which is a bit strange. And I think I prefer the nice kind of security of the tent. See, I don't have a knife, but I do have a saw. So if anyone starts, they're going to get that across the knuckles. You know?
James can't shake off the uncomfortable feeling creeping over him. The entire area has an eerie presence, and the strange sounds from earlier are only making things worse. Every crack of a branch or rustle in the distance keeps him on edge, making him question whether he's truly alone out here. In an attempt to find some comfort, he retreats into his tent, the thin fabric providing at least a small sense of security. Eventually, exhaustion takes over, and he manages to fall asleep, hoping the rest of the night will pass without further disturbances. But then, in the middle of the night, something pulls him from his sleep. A noise, faint but distinct, echoes through the silent forest. Heart-pounding, James reaches for his camera and immediately starts recording, bracing himself for whatever might come next.
Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. Shit. I just heard laughing there. Or something. No way. Hello? Hello? I think that's a road in the distance, maybe. Yeah, it can't be. It can't be. Right. Well, I can't hear anything, so let's turn this off. Right. Good night.
Despite the restless night, James has made it through until morning. Sleep had been scarce, with every strange noise keeping him on edge. But now that daylight has returned, the once unnerving forest feels far less threatening. The heavy atmosphere from the night before seems to have lifted, and for the first time in hours, James finally feels a sense of calm. Eager to shake off the unease, he prepares a quick breakfast, enjoying a warm cup of coffee while taking in the beauty of his surroundings. With the sun shining through the trees, the forest no longer feels as menacing, and he's ready to begin his hike back. But just as he's enjoying his simple breakfast, something catches his eye, something hanging above him.
I'm going to finish up here and then start packing up and make it. What the hell? What is that? What the hell is it? Oh. Tangled in the trees. The fuck is that? That is a fucking pentagram. That is not a natural fucking phenomenon. What the fuck? What on earth is that? That could have been there all the time, but I doubt it. The fuck? Right, I'm just I'll put that aside for now. Right, I'm gonna get ready and go.
This was the final straw for James. The unsettling atmosphere of the night, the eerie sounds, and now this, a pentagram hanging ominously in the tree above him. A chilling realization set in. Perhaps he hadn't been as alone as he had hoped. His only focus now was getting out of there as fast as possible. Wasting no time, he gathered his belongings with a sense of urgency, his mind racing with unanswered questions. The long hike back through the forest felt different this time, every shadow and rustling branch keeping him on edge. By the time he finally reached civilization, a wave of relief washed over him, but the experience had left its mark. This camping trip had turned into something far more unsettling than he ever anticipated. And one thing was certain. James had no plans to return to the Machar Stones anytime soon. Now let's head straight into the next creepy encounter. This is Will, who you may know from his YouTube channel called Will's Whereabouts. A channel dedicated to vehicle camping, as Will, after years of traveling around the globe, has developed an unstoppable itch for adventure. He shares his adventurous life for his viewers to enjoy with him and gives valuable tips and knowledge to those interested in trying it themselves. Whether it's setting up camp in the most remote places, testing different camping gear, or simply embracing life on the road, Will has built a loyal following by taking his viewers along on every journey. However, a positive and fun life also has its setbacks, and Will is not shy to share those too. Sometimes, things don't go as planned, and not every adventure is as carefree as it seems. This particular clip was one of those moments. It's April 2nd, 2021. Will has planned another solo stealth camping adventure, something he has done countless times before. There's nothing he enjoys more than escaping the usual routines and spending his free time in nature, living out of his van. The excitement of finding a hidden spot, setting up camp, and enjoying the simple pleasures of life on the road keeps him coming back for more. So after making sure he has everything packed and ready for the night ahead, Will starts his drive, eager to find the perfect camping spot. But before choosing his location, he makes a quick stop to grab something to eat.
Oh, that is a hefty portion of chicken katsu. Delicious. I use the app Park for Night, and I actually have found a really cool, quiet, secluded parking spot only a couple of minutes drive away, which is right next to a lake, and it's completely free, I think anyway. So I figured, why not head there? I can wake up in the morning, in the middle of nature, listen to the sound of birds and hopefully some fish swimming, even though I don't know how you could hear that. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll head to a nice foresty area and stay there for tonight.
Will has decided where to stay the night and wastes no time heading there, as the sun is already setting and darkness is creeping in. The thought of a peaceful night in his camper van, surrounded by solitude, sounds perfect. Satisfied with his choice, he drives to the parking spot, eager to settle in and enjoy the quiet. But as he arrives and slows down to take in his surroundings, an uneasy feeling washes over him. The area, which seemed fine online, now feels eerily desolate. For a moment, he rethinks his decision, wondering if this really is the best spot to stay the night.
I hate to say it, but I'm going to. I think this place could also be another dogging location. Right off the M25, so anybody who's tired looking for some hanky-panky can have a good time. And there are woods right at the back. Why on earth do I always find places like this? There's a van there, there's a few cars there. Do you see what I mean about being a dogging spot? Right next to the forest. And somebody's literally just walked out. Why are you walking your dog at this time of night? Surely not. Honestly, this place definitely has something dodgy going on. I've just gone for a wee in the trees over there. Some guy turns his engine off, starts walking towards me. No dog, no nothing. Maybe he needs a bit of fresh air, maybe he also needs a wee. But now he's just gone back to his car. This is the first time I genuinely feel like I could be in a popular dogging area. It does make sense, to be fair, just off the motorway.
The whole place just feels off, and an unsettling atmosphere lingers in the air. But with the night already fallen, and the football game he's been looking forward to is about to start, Will convinces himself to stay put. He locks his doors, settles into his seat, and focuses on his screen, expecting that the distraction will help push aside the unease creeping up his spine, hoping that he's just overthinking things. But while Will tries to shake it off, he has no idea that it will only get worse.
You can't see. Can you see? There is a bloke just there behind a tree. Oh God, what's he doing? What's he doing? Don't come here, mate. I'm actually scared. Oh God, hold on. This bloke's been doing circles around the car. Imagine if I turn the lights on. I'd probably have a queue of people outside. I'm almost 100% sure that this is a dogging spot. There is blokes just sitting in their cars at 9 o'clock on a, what day is it? On a Tuesday night. I know I'm doing it, but I'm filming a YouTube video. Oh my God, some bloke just walked past my car again. What's this bloke want? Mate, I'm not here for anything, I promise, other than to watch the football.
Wanting to know if his feeling about this place is right, Will decides to search on the internet if there could be any information about this parking spot. And as he scrolls through the results, he discovers that his uneasy feeling really wasn't without reason.
You are not going to believe what I've just found online. I just typed in the location where I am, which is called Ockham Common Boldmere Car Park, and I've just typed it in on Google with the word dogging after it, and it's come up with a few links. And some of the websites that come up, the first one here says homophobic no buggery poster pinned up at a known dogging site on Ockham Common, which is where I am now. A homophobic poster prohibiting buggery has been pinned up a tree known as the dogging site in the county. It adds, gentlemen, if you really can't find love in the specialist establishment or online, please clear up after yourselves. It all makes sense with all these cars coming in and out, with people keeping their lights on, and all these men that keep walking in and out. Why is there a bloke just in the forest having a cigarette? I'm gonna close this blind up. I've had enough of this. Nah, there's two blokes in the woods. Nah, what's he coming out the woods for like that? This is creepy as fuck. I am getting out of here. This is why we're moving. Cars everywhere. people sneaking off into the woods. This is not my scene. So it's time to get out of here.
Will now feels more uncomfortable than ever. The articles confirmed his worst suspicions. This was not just an ordinary parking spot, and every instinct in his body told him to leave immediately. Without a second thought, he turned on the engine and drove away, putting as much distance as possible between himself and that unsettling place. He didn't care where he ended up. Anywhere was better than staying there a minute longer. Although relieved that he had trusted his instincts before anything bad happened, frustration lingered. His peaceful night had turned into an unsettling escape, and he couldn't shake the disappointment of choosing such a sketchy spot. Eventually, he found a much safer place to park, where he could finally relax. But as he settled in for the night, the thought kept running through his mind of how he could have made such a mistake. This experience was a harsh reminder that no matter how many adventures he had been on, there was always something to learn. The world is full of unexpected dangers, and next time, he'd make sure to do his research before choosing a place to camp. And with that, let's head on to the next disturbing encounter that has been captured on camera. This next clip is from the YouTube channel Leslie Mansfield, where Leslie herself shares her outdoor adventures, as it's what she loves to do the most and where she finds her true joy. Normally, Leslie's videos are lighthearted and informative, showcasing the beauty of nature and her experiences. But in this particular clip, her wild camping adventure took a drastically different turn than usual. It's January 26th, 2025. Leslie has decided to embark on a solo wild camping trip to a location she has had her eye on for a while, but never visited before. The area is known for its peace and serenity, and it seems like the perfect place to get away from everything. Eager to experience the tranquility of the wilderness, she sets out with excitement, prepared for a night in nature. After arriving at her starting point, Leslie begins her hike through the dense forest, feeling the crisp winter air as she walks deeper into the woods. Her excitement is palpable as she can already picture the peaceful evening ahead. She's determined to find the most remote spot she can, far from the usual trails, where she can truly be alone with nature. The sun is starting to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the trees, but Leslie remains focused, determined to find the perfect place before darkness fully sets in. Everything feels just right, calm, quiet, and secluded. But little did she know, something was about to disrupt this serene escape.
It's a nice area and all. Ooh, what's happening here? Bridleway diversion route. Well, I'm not on a horse, so am I allowed? Bridleway closed. We're felling the diseased and dying ash trees along this bridleways. Great. That means I'll be all alone, except if other naughty people who are willing to go through tape come down here. Oh. Let's have a look at where I'm going.
Despite the no trespassing signs, Leslie decides to stick to her plan, ignoring the warnings and pushing deeper into the forest. Her determination to find the perfect spot for the night keeps her focused. But little does she know, her decision is going to lead her down an unsettling path. As the light fades, she notices the sun sinking faster than she hoped, which makes Leslie realize that she has to find a place to settle. Luckily, she spots a small hill ahead, an ideal place to set up camp for the night. Reluctantly, she decides it's time to settle down. She begins to unpack her gear, but before she can even get her tent set up, something catches her eye in the distance.
Don't know if you can see that, but there's somebody walking down the bottom of the valley there with a torch. I'm sure they're fine and innocent, but I've turned all my lights off until they've walked by. That person with the torch going along, I was about to set the camera up and I was about to say, oh, I'm on a hilltop and I can see they're about to leave the valley, so that's good. But they didn't. They came back and sort of towards the tent, and I just thought, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Pat, the camera, in fact the camera is what I was worried about. First time I've used this Insta360, my first ever camera. It's funny how I was packing that, wanting to make sure that was okay. And my hip belt I wear, so it's got my mobile and keys, so I just got my rucksack on and left the tent and hid down in the trees to make sure they went, because I also wanted to check what they were doing rather than just, you know, me leaving. And eventually they left. I don't know, I was spooked by then, so I found a different spot.
Leslie felt a chill run down her spine as the figure in the distance seemed to inch closer and closer. Her pulse quickened, and the weight of the silence in the forest grew heavier. But with a feeling of not wanting to give up, she decided to head toward a small clearing deeper into the woods, a place tucked between trees and thick bushes that offered her more cover. There, she hoped to find some comfort and safety from whoever was lurking nearby. The more the uneasy feeling lifted, though her nerves still buzzed in the back of her mind. Once she reached the secluded spot, hidden from the path, she took a deep breath, letting out a sigh of relief. She could no longer see the figure from earlier, and the soft rustling of the leaves around her seemed to wash away some of the tension that had built up. Leslie finally began to set up camp, feeling more comfortable now that she was hidden and protected by the trees.
Hello. Of course I'm wearing my mountain jacket, so with all the stress I'm boiling.
Everything was set for the night, but the unsettling feeling of that person wandering through the woods crept back into Leslie's mind. Every sound, every rustle of the leaves seemed louder and more intentional, amplifying her fear. Despite the comfort she had hoped to find in choosing a more secluded spot, the safety she craved felt distant, as though she was still exposed and vulnerable. Leslie examined whether staying any longer was the right choice, torn between the desire to push through and the growing sense of unease. It took a moment, debating whether she was making the right choice to stay any longer in this forest, until something happened that made her decision clear. A flashlight flickered in the distance again, cutting through the trees. Leslie's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't be sure if it was the same person from earlier, but the feeling of being watched was unmistakable. It was enough to send a rush of panic through her, and without a second thought, she packed up her tent, grabbing her belongings as quickly as she could. The forest no longer felt like an adventure. It felt like a trap. She didn't stop to check if anyone was close, knowing it was better not to risk it. Leslie retraced her steps, moving swiftly through the woods and toward the path that would lead her out. The once serene environment now felt hostile, every shadow a potential threat. Leslie didn't stop until she was safely in her car, the doors locked behind her. Her pulse slowly began to settle, but the adrenaline still coursed through her veins. But the tension finally easing, though a sense of disappointment lingered. She had come so far for an adventure that had turned into a nightmare, but in that moment, all she cared about was her safety. Though she would never know if the person had bad intentions or was simply another hiker, the fear she felt in those moments was enough to confirm her decision to leave. Listening to that instinct had kept her safe, and she knew that was all that mattered. Luckily, this story had a safe ending, but brace yourself for the last one. It might be even more unsettling. This video comes from the YouTube channel Walking Cam, owned by Darina, a woman who thrives on exploring creepy abandoned locations all on her own. It's not just about visiting these places for the thrill. Darina has a deep passion for mystical legends and local history, and she often spends the night camping in places that most would never dare to step foot in. In short, Darina is fearless when it comes to uncovering the stories behind some of the creepiest spots on the map. In this particular clip, Darina is spending the night at a swamp in Pine Barrens, located deep within the Pasadena Wildlife Area, a place known by locals as the Devil's Hairbrush. The swamp is surrounded by dead trees, their twisted and gnarled branches resembling a giant hairbrush that seems only fit for the devil. Despite the eerie reputation of this swamp, Darina is used to dark and unsettling places, but little did she know, this adventure would test her nerves more than normally. It's October 15th, 2024. Darina is enjoying the solitude of the woods, even though the atmosphere is undeniably creepy. The air is thick with fog, and the stillness of the swamp adds a layer of unease to the surroundings. After a quiet dinner by her campfire, she settles down, but the calm is short-lived. A strange, low growl echoes through the night air, coming from somewhere near the swamp. Darina's curious peaks, and she listens intently, trying to identify the source of the unsettling sound. It's unlike anything she's heard before, an animal-like growl, but it doesn't quite sound natural. Without giving it much more thought, Darina grabs her flashlight, her heart pounding with both excitement and uncertainty, and decides to take a walk towards the swamp to investigate. She steps carefully, trying to stay as quiet as possible, her mind racing with possibilities. But as she gets closer to the edge of the swamp, the sound abruptly stops. It's silent for a moment, just the sound of crickets piercing through the night, until she suddenly hears something going into the water. There was definitely something in the swamp, but what it was remained a mystery. Darina continued to scan the area with her flashlight, the beam trembling slightly in her grip as her heart thudded in her chest. The water, once disturbed by the splashes, had returned to its still, eerie calm, as if nothing had happened at all. A shiver ran down her spine as the silence stretched on, the unnatural stillness of the swamp hanging in the air. She stayed rooted to the spot for a few moments, waiting for any sign of movement, any clue to what she just witnessed. But nothing. The darkness swallowed everything, and the sounds of the night were replaced by an unnerving quiet. After a while, Darina decided to head back to her camp. She glanced over her shoulder one last time, her flashlight cutting through the dark like a thin thread of reassurance. Whatever it was gone now. At least, she hoped so. Trying to calm herself, she shook off the unease, convincing herself that it was just some animal, perhaps a deer or a raccoon. But deep down, she knew something didn't sit right. Back at her camp, the rest of the night passed in relative peace. The fire crackled, the wind whispered through the trees, and no more strange sounds echoed from the swamp. Yet, despite the quiet, Darina couldn't stop thinking about what she had heard. She lay in her tent, listening to the night around her, trying to piece together what had happened. The questions lingered, unanswered, leaving her with a nagging sense of mystery. Whatever it was that made that sound, it was something she would never be able to forget. And it was clear to Darina that, despite the peaceful end to the night, the swamp and its secrets still held an unsettling grip on her mind. That's all for today, folks. If you want to see more of this creepy content, click on the video on screen.